Good evening. I'm Chelsea Souter, and today I'm going to answer 20 questions about historical costuming. My first costume was, like many people's, a Renaissance gown. Sort of going for an Italian Renaissance a la Ever After look and feel. I will show a picture. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that one. I would probably say that my favorite costume is my gold galleon gown. I had a lot of fun making it. I was very proud of how it came out, and I've added trim to it every single time that I've worn it, so it's become almost a new gown every time. And now I have plans to add a different stomacher that I can switch out. Next time I wear it, it will be new again. I have several costumes that I dream of making. Probably the number one for me right now is the self-portrait with harp striped gown, which I already have the fabric for, and I was completely planning on making it for the Française dinner that got rescheduled for October. So I still plan on making it for the Française dinner, but as of 2 weeks before the event, when it was postponed, I had not started it, and so I still haven't started it. But one day, it will be mine. One sewing task I hate is darts. I have never enjoyed doing darts. They are frustrating, both the marking and the actual sewing thereof. I've gotten much better at them in recent years, so they're less frustrating than they once were, but still not my favorite thing. A sewing task that I love is actually pleating. I love pleating, especially when I have a fun striped fabric to pleat and make fun and interesting designs with the pleating, and I just love the way that they look. So, pleating, oddly enough. Ooh. It's warm in here. That depends. If I'm machine sewing, I would rather sew wool. I love the way wool goes through a machine, and I love how forgiving it is. And just the suppleness and the drape of wool is just quite lovely. But if I'm hand sewing, I love sewing silk fabric with silk thread. There's something just luscious about the sound of the needle and thread going through silk when the thread is also silk. It's just beautiful. I love when events have a theme and I can dress up for it. I think I've only been to one pick your own theme, and that was the entire span of Victoria's reign to choose from, and I made my Huffle specifically for that event because I wanted to make the Huffle but didn't have an event for which to wear it until Carolyn had her Victoria Day party. And then once I made it, I of course needed more events at which to wear it, so then I decided to host a Hogwarts tea. And I'd planned to host one again last year, but the date ended up not working for really anybody, so I was going to postpone until this spring. But I never picked a date, so it's probably just as well. So I'll try again in the fall. We'll see. I would love to attend an intimate dinner with friends. That would be more my speed as an introvert. Although sometimes a large ball is nice because you can kind of get lost in the crowd, but then I never seem to get a chance to actually talk to all of the people that I want to talk to. Whereas a nice, small, intimate dinner, there's a better chance of getting to talk to everybody, and I enjoy that. Again, this depends. I started machine sewing. I never really enjoyed hand sewing when I was first learning to sew as a child. I loved machine sewing. Well, I didn't love it, but I hated it less. As an adult, and when I first started working at Colonial Williamsburg in the Costume Design Center, I fell in love with hand sewing in a way that I had never been able to. I'd never appreciated it when I was learning to sew. And now there are things that I would rather do by hand than by machine. If it's a long straight seam on a skirt, I prefer to machine sew. But if it's something small and intricate, then hand sewing all the way. If I'm making a historical garment for my daughter, I will hand sew the entire thing because she's tiny and it's easier to hand sew very small things. That's an interesting question. I would probably like wigs more if I had more wigs that I could just throw on. I usually do my own hair just because that's the option available to me. For the 1920s event that I attended last summer, the Downton Abbey premiere, I rented a wig from Custom Wig Company, and it was the easiest hair ever because I could just throw it on and it looked fantastic. It was hot, but it was a hot day and I was wearing a wig and then a hat on top of it, so it was quite warm, but it was pretty wonderful. My 5 costuming businesses are LBCC Historical, Penny River Costumes, Shocking Bad Hats, The Lady Detal, and In the Long Run Designs. I follow so many costumers, so I've decided to make my list of 5 channels that have fewer than 1,000 subscribers. Abby Cox. Okay, at the time that I was making my notes for this video, Abby Cox had fewer than 1,000 subscribers, but now she has more. Threaded Thistle, The Victorian Archivist, Clusterfrock, and So Loud. I realize it's kind of cheating because Robin tagged me first, but I was going to mention her anyway. My favorite color is blue, specifically the blue of the twilight sky after the sun has set and the first stars are beginning to emerge. That blue. I would probably say pearls. There's something just so classy about pearls and classic. And I wore pearls for my wedding. Ooh, I have been dreaming of going to the Jane Austen Festival in Bath ever since I went to Bath last year, and it was a fantastic trip. I wish I had already been doing this whole vlogging thing before I went, because then I would have thought to take video footage instead of just pictures of the trip, because it would make a really cool vlog, but I didn't. It was a really cool trip though, and I fell in love with Bath as a city. Just one of my favorite places I've ever been. My favorite cocktail is a mojito. Costumer I would like to meet. If you'd asked me this even 5 years ago, I would have had such a long list because there are so many amazing people that I have since met. So I have to think of somebody I haven't met because there are so many cool people. So I'm going to say Morgan Donner. I love stripes above probably any other fabric pattern. Florals are good too. Again, that depends really on the era. If I'm doing 18th century or Regency, I almost prefer to draft my own pattern or drape my own pattern. Regency I've gotten so familiar with that I can very easily just make up a pattern. But if I'm doing Victorian, I'm going to be using a pattern because I don't know what I'm doing. Probably 18th century. That's been my favorite for several years. I probably do Regency the most often. And I would like to do more Victorian. I really enjoy it, but 18th century is probably my first love. One thing you may not know about me is I was doing cosplay before I got into historical costuming. I did 3 Padme costumes for Celebration 3 in 2005, so that predates even my Renaissance costuming by a number of years. Thank you to Robin of So Loud for initiating this cool costuming YouTube 20 questions challenge and for nominating me. Until next time. Yes, those are real candles. You can tell because they're flickering in the breeze.